Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about the spleen. Now first of all, the spleen is basically a wedge-shaped organ lying mainly in the left hypochondrium and partly in the epigastrium. It is wedged in between the fundus of the stomach and the diaphragm. The spleen is tetrahedral in shape. The spleen is actually soft, highly vascular and dark purple in color. The size and weight of the spleen are markedly variable. Now, the spleen is basically lying obliquely along the long axis of the 10th rib. And remember, this normal spleen is not palpable. Okay, now as the spleen is basically lying at the long axis of 10th rib, so it is directed downwards, forwards and laterally, making an angle of about 45 degrees with the horizontal plane. Now, very important, the external features of the spleen. Now, spleen has basically two ends, three borders, two surfaces, two angles and hilum. Now first of all the ends. Now the anterior and the posterior end of the spleen. Now first of all the anterior end of the spleen over here, as you can see over here, this is the anterior end of the spleen. Now the anterior end of the lateral end is actually expanded and is more like a border only. It is directed downwards and forwards and reaches the mid-axillary line. Now posterior or the medial end is actually rounded, as you can see over here. It is directed upward, backward and medially and rests on the upper pole of the left kidney. Now the borders of the spleen. The superior border, inferior border and the intermediate border. The superior border is having the characteristic notch over here on the superior border. Okay, the inferior border is actually rounded and the intermediate is actually rounded and is directed to the right side. Now this intermediate border is not seen in this diagram, but it is basically seen when you will see the spleen from the inner side. Now surfaces of the spleen, the diaphragmatic and the visceral surface. The diaphragmatic surface is actually convex and smooth, but the visceral surface is concave and irregular. The angles over here, the anterobasal angle and the posterobasal angle. The anterobasal angle is the junction of the superior border with the lateral or the anterior end. It is the most far projecting part of the spleen. Also, very important thing is that the anterobasal angle is also known as the clinical angle of the spleen. Why? Because when the spleen actually enlarged, this angle is felt first. So that's why the anterobasal angle is also known as the clinical angle of the spleen. Now the posterobasal angle, the junction of the inferior border with the lateral or the anterior end of the spleen is known as the posterobasal angle. Now last is the hilum of the spleen. The hilum basically lies between the superior and the intermediate border of the spleen and it is pierced basically by the branches and the tributaries of the splenic vessels. Now the peritoneal relation of the spleen. Now first of all, the spleen is actually surrounded by peritoneum and suspended by the following three ligaments, mainly two and partly one we can say. First of all, the gastrosplenic ligament. It basically extends from the hilum of the spleen to the greater curvature of the stomach. It contains the short gastric vessel and associated lymphatics and the sympathetic nerves. Then the lienorenal ligament or the splenorenal ligament. Now this basically extends from the hilum of the spleen to the anterior surface of the left kidney. Now it contains the tail of the pancreas, the splenic vessels and associated pancreatico-splenic lymph nodes. Also it contains lymphatics and some sympathetic nerves also. Now also there is one phrenicocholic ligament. It is not basically attached to the spleen but supports the anterior end of the spleen. It is horizontal fold of the peritoneum extending from the splenic flexure of the colon to the diaphragm opposite the 11th rib in the mid-axillary line. It basically limits the upper end of the left paracolic gutter. It is also known as the sustentaculum lenis. Now next thing about the visceral relation of the spleen. Now the visceral relation basically is the fundus of the stomach, the anterior surface of the left kidney, the splenic flexure of the colon and the tail of the pancreas. Now first of all, the gastric impression. The gastric impression for the fundus of the stomach lies between the superior and the intermediate border of the spleen. It is the largest and the most concave impression on the spleen. Now also the renal impression. The renal impression is for the left kidney, lies between the inferior and the intermediate borders. The colic impression for the splenic flexure of the colon occupies a triangular area adjoining the anterior end of the spleen. Its lower part is basically related to the phrenicocholic ligament. The pancreatic impression for the tail of the pancreas, of course, lies between the hilum and the colic impression. and the hilum lies on the inframedial part of the gastric impression along the long axis of the spleen. It basically transmits the splenic vessels and nerves and provides attachment to the gastrosplenic and the lienorenal ligaments. Now also the diaphragmatic surface of the spleen. Now for this over here, as you can see, the diaphragmatic surface is basically related to a diaphragm which separates the spleen from the costodiaphragmatic recess of the pleura, lung and 9th, 10th and 11th rib on the left side. Now very important, arterial supply of the spleen. The spleen is basically supplied by the splenic artery, which is the largest branch of the celiac trunk. The artery is actually tortuous in its course to allow the movement or the free movement of the spleen. It basically passes through the lienorenal ligament to reach the hilum of the spleen, where it basically divides into 5 or more branches, as you can see. Now these branches enter the spleen to supply the spleen. Now within the spleen, now this artery basically divides repeatedly to form successfully the straight vessels known as the penicilli. Now this penicilli further divides into ellipsoids and arterial capillaries. Now further course of the blood is very controversial. Now, according to some theories, or we can say according to known as the closed theory, according to the closed theory of the splenic circulation, the capillaries are continuous with the venous sinusoids that lie in the red pulp. The sinusoids then join together to form the vein. Well, according to the open theory of the splenic circulation, the capillaries end by opening in the red pulp from where the blood enters the sinusoid through their walls. Okay. Now, still other believe in a compromise theory also. Now, what is about the compromise theory? Now, according to this theory, the circulation is open in distended spleen, while the circulation is actually closed in contracted spleen. The splenic circulation is actually adapted for the mechanism of separation and storage of the red blood cells. On the basis of its blood supply, the spleen is said to have superior and inferior vascular segments. Now, the two segments are basically separated by an avascular plane. Now, each segment may be subdivided into 1 to 2 disc-like middle segment and a cap-like pole segment. Apart from its terminal branches, the splenic artery also gives off 3 more branches, that is the numerous branches to the pancreas, 5 to 7 short gastric branches and the left gastroepiploic artery. Also for the venous drainage, the splenic vein is formed at the hilum of the spleen. Now next thing is about the venous drainage of the spleen. The splenic vein is formed at the hilum of the spleen. It runs a short course behind the pancreas and it joins the superior mesenteric vein behind the neck of the pancreas to form the portal vein. Its tributaries are basically short gastric vein, left gastroepiploic vein, pancreatic vein and the inferior mesenteric vein. Now very important about the lymphatics. Now the splenic tissue proper has no lymphatics, remember. A few lymphatics arise from the connective tissue of the capsule, including the trabecular drain into, remember, pancreatico-splenic lymph nodes. So remember over here, just one lymph node, that is a pancreatico-splenic lymph nodes. And over here the nerve supply for the spleen is basically the celiac plexus. The sympathetic fibers are basically derived from the celiac plexus and they are vasomotor in nature and also supply the smooth muscles. Now we have various functions of the spleen, that is the phagocytosis, hemopoiesis, immune response, store of the RBC, etc. So this is all about the spleen. Let's go to my video of appendix of the spleen to know about the disease of the spleen. So I hope you understood well. Thank you so much.